What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Crypto Mavericks Rundown. A little bit late on the week this week, but good news for that matter because Bitcoin has hit an all-time high of what's the all-time high, Brian? 111,000, right?
Yeah, well, the all-time high before we hit, I think, was on Binance at 109,600. So we've smashed that. We might have touched 112
Woo.
today, but 111.5 is damn close.
Yeah. I was wondering why on the Marriott markets or Poly markets, they were betting on will the Fear and Greed Index be at a 73 tomorrow? And then I put no because I didn't even check the price of Bitcoin, and I was like, "Whoa!" Pleasantly surprised. What's causing this move, Brian?
I mean, there's a lot of bullish reasons why Bitcoin. Well, we've talked about it with our private community, and I've been saying this for a long time. A lot of the reasons why Bitcoin corrected below that initial $100,000 mark wasn't because of anything fundamental with Bitcoin that occurred. It was a lot of just macro news. We had the Ukraine, Russia. Tensions, and then most importantly, probably the tariff news, And as we de-escalated that tariff news, there was confidence in the market. There was more confidence in Bitcoin. We saw gold getting to all-time highs. And we talked about this. I was like, when gold was going to an all-time high, I was like, Bitcoin always follows these all-time highs. And we just slowly grinded up. Seems like a lot of smart money is in this. And when I say smart money, we look at the ETF inflows recently. We've had 300 or 400 million yesterday. It's been green pretty much every day over the past couple of weeks. It doesn't feel as much retail to me, Joe. I mean, we just had Texas approve a strategic Bitcoin reserve. We had the Genius Act approved. We have all these major headlines, and it just seems like smart money is piling in. Personally, I would like to know your vibe. It doesn't feel like retail is buying this
Uh,
rise up.
what? I did not know the Genius Act was approved.
Well,
That was
Senate,
yesterday
then I
too. hmm
Senate, then House, and then I think we're at an amendment stage right now. But that's awesome.
It's moved so fast. You remember when Arizona bill got rejected, and then like 2 days later they approved the crypto bill. That's kind of what happened to Genius Act. It got what kicked out. They revised it, spit it back. I guess AI is moving things faster. It's faster to revise things and faster for people to revise those revisions, right? So we're moving at lightning speed here. But
Th
what you said,
th
go
there
ahead.
was a concern with that Genius Act. It's just like that you pointed that out. Whenever it was initially denied, I remember us talking about it on the Rundown show, and it was like a lot of like Democratic crypto supporters were voting no against it. And I remember saying like I was like, this is concerning to me because a lot of involvement with the Trump family, and I was like, this feels like it's becoming a two-party issue, crypto, where it should be a bipartisan issue. So I think that's the thing that I'm so excited about with this Genius Act is that we're having support from Democrats again to push logical, legislation for stablecoins through. We've been utilizing stablecoins for so long, but there's hasn't been good regulation or clarity. So I think it's a really big piece of news that, we kind of just gloss over.
It's huge news. And with that, that will pump my price prediction for Bitcoin even higher. Because as we all know, that's exactly what Tether did was kind of pump Bitcoin with a self-inflating or circulating supply of Tether. Well, unfounded, of course. I'm just saying. So yeah, what is your Bitcoin price prediction? People say that 150,000 is within earshot. What do you think, Brian?
It's so funny you're putting me on the spot here. I did just talk to a buddy of mine at length for like a half hour this morning about Bitcoin, and he was like, I want to buy under 100 grand. Like I want to buy back at 95,000 bucks. I was like, you had plenty of time to buy under 100 grand. I wanted to wring his neck, but there's a world here where we go back under 100 grand. I mean, there's definitely a path there. We've seen it enough that we could take a nasty dip. But I think in order for that to happen, with us getting above 100 grand the second time around, and just almost it feels quiet to me because retail's not really in it. I think it has to be like some macro news that really like crap hits the fan here. If that happens, like we have tariff issues again, we have an escalation with the Middle East or with Russia, Ukraine, something macro wise. I think we're getting rinsed in all markets if we go back under 100 grand. I think the next few days are going to be very interesting. I mean, today we're recording on Thursday. It'll be very interesting to see if we chop in this like above $110,000 range into the weekend when the traditional markets are closed, where we get open on Monday. Really, very long story short, I'm kind of thinking it through with everyone. I think if we gain, I've been saying this, I said this on last rundown. I said 112 grand, like 112 to 115. I think we could really be off to the races. We start seeing it talked about more on news. I think we start seeing retail ape in more, and we could get a psychological number with no merit is like $125,000 Bitcoin. If we get there, I think everything's just popping off. But I don't see us going back under 100 grand unless something major happens.
Yeah, yeah. I'm seeing us inching closer to that 150. We have a happy hour with our company tomorrow with price prediction. So whoever wins that prize, that's going to be spot on. I'm going to say we're closer to 150,000 mark, not by Monday, but hopefully approaching June, halfway through the year. And I wish we could do giveaways on YouTube like I did in the past, but comment down below what you guys think the price prediction will be. Maybe we can do something for everyone. But let's stick on the path really quickly. What you're talking about in gold. Well, it turns out more Americans hold Bitcoin than gold, which is not a hard case to argue, specifically when there's data, right? We can see the wallets, see where they reside. Not surprising to me, but a great, I would say data point for the use case of Bitcoin, moving forward to be the, hedge against inflation versus gold. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Is that are they talking about physical gold there or just paper gold? Probably paper gold.
Just paper, not
37.
physical. Yeah.
Yeah, 37 million is a big number. That's surprising to me. That's what I think about that. If you ask me, did Americans hold more Bitcoin or more gold, and I'm in these Bitcoin markets all the time, I would have said they own more gold. So that's actually pretty bullish in my eyes.
Definitely bullish news, but overall, Americans in general are dominating Bitcoin total supply, which is great to see. I think up something like 40% it says in an article versus other countries. So surprising to me, it looks like we're trying to win the crypto race, and it looks like the American people or the private sector is doing it because, like you mentioned, Texas, well, one person is doing it. Thanks to this guy. This is probably why Americans leading. Good old, Bitcoin Jesus here offering more stuff. This is just old news, right? It's just okay, another week raising another 2 billion. Thank you, Sailor, for pushing American people forward. And then Texas, like you mentioned, just passed the Bitcoin Reserve. It's sitting with the governor now, just like Arizona did 2 weeks ago. The governor can shoot it down, but we don't think so. This will be, more states coming in. So although, like you mentioned, things are quieting, but big companies or states have not even started purchasing yet. So that's why I'm more on the bullish side to see when these, acts or bills actually get into activation mode.
Yeah, you nailed it. And then we have like Vivek Ramaswamy, who's like has Strive, and they want to buy $8 billion worth, 75,000 Bitcoin from the creditors from Mount Gox. And if they make that purchase, they make it happen. That's going to be a huge move and probably top three private Bitcoin holding companies out there. So I think you hit the nail on the head. And then we have, what was it? We've talked about this in the past. 14 states have in their retirement and pension funds, they have access or exposure to MicroStrategy. Essentially, if you're buying MicroStrategy, you're buying Bitcoin indirectly. So those 14 states, you would have to believe are going to eventually pass a strategic reserve and just buy the actual asset Bitcoin. So countries, states, millionaires, billionaires, we say it all the time, haven't even really started buying the amount of Bitcoin that we believe, and we have exchanges at all-time lows with Bitcoin holdings. There is a path here that we just rip absolutely up north. I see that happening, and I'm a permabull, so I get that, but I see that happening more than us dipping back under 100 grand. I do see a path where we could get there, but it seems a lot less likely than us just crunching and flying the beginning part of the summer here.
Yep. And with another historic move, we didn't talk about this because there's so much bullish news. First time in history, a crypto company has joined the S&P 500, and they are Coinbase. So people unknowingly, well, I guess they're not buying um, Bitcoin specifically. because Coinbase has not adopted the Bitcoin reserve. Shame on you, Brian Armstrong. But they are buying a kind of crypto gateway into Bitcoin, which is Coinbase. So the people are unknowingly buying that in their retirement account because most Americans are holding S&P 500 inside of their 401ks and IRAs unknowingly. And last news before I kick it over to you on Coinbase is that there was a data leak, just like how most credit card companies got data leaks. Nothing exciting, but what's interesting is that Brian Armstrong flipped the table. The ransomers asked for $20 million. Instead, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, said, "Nope, we're gonna offer $20 million to go after these fools." So I thought that was a pretty gangster move.
Yeah, that was real gangster. That's a good way to put it. I just wanted to look at the coin chart. I do have some coin holdings, full disclosure for everyone. Uh, and it got all the way down to about $200 10 days ago. Wow.
Mm.
And then it responded really well. It's trading at 267. So pretty, and it's up 40% in the past month. So pretty amazing that with that exploit, and that could make people feel uneasy, that they kind of turned the tables and the stock rebounded so nicely. So no complaints there. Oh, do you want to talk about this hyper whale position? You want me to bring it up?
I do. Last few things, but yeah, you could talk about Hyperwhale first. Let's go.
You want to? Okay. So anybody that's familiar with Hyperliquid, Hyperliquid is a perp site where you can trade Bitcoin longs or shorts with leverage. And there is a 40x leverage by an individual named James Wynn. Jimmy is absolutely an absolute animal. I have no idea who this guy was before this happened. Here's his Twitter profile right here, dude. He is just he called so his claim to fame is he called Pepe at 600,000 market cap. And he is up, I believe, in profit about $24 million on a Bitcoin long. Some amazing stuff here, dude. He actually posted this chart. We've all seen this chart enough. And he's calling for some euphoric Bitcoin price action in the month of July. So we can see why he opened such a huge long with Bitcoin. His exposure is crazy. So he has a long with Bitcoin, he's a long with Pepe, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the Sui blockchain, but he actually opened an additional long up earlier today with Sui, and he's in the green in all of them. There's some P&Ls in the green. Yesterday, Joe, I was watching this kind of closely because I'm like, who is this guy, James Wynn? And he went down like he was underwater by about 13 million bucks with the volatility of yesterday. And then he fired back up, and now he's up in profit in his P&L, $24 million. This guy's playing with an absolute fortune with this Bitcoin long on Hyperliquid. And Hyperliquid's actually been one of the most best performing alts. And I think this has a lot to do with the exposure he's given it right now. I'm a Hype fan. I own Hype, full disclosure, but he's given it some great exposure.
That's good to see. I would love some of that $24 million in holding. You mentioned he had a long on Sui, and that's because Sui got hacked, right, for like $200 million on it under DEX, a
Yeah.
decentralized exchange. So that was very interesting. I wonder what alpha he has on there to open up that long. I guess because Bybit absorbed their, how much was their hack? Bybit was
A
hacked
ton.
for a billion, right? Like 1.3
Something.
billion. And 4 months later, and this is before Bitcoin hit all-time high, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're whole. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
fine.
we'll just write
We
a check to everyone. Like, I'm like, what is going on? How much money is Bybit making?
yeah, that would make sense why Sui would, because there's precedence here. There was a hack. Bybit came out in front of it. Sui, they're calling it a bug, lost 200 million. It seems like these kind of hacks or scams are, are they're not going away, but uh, companies are surviving them. Like with the biggest one being the I forgot the company's name, but 650 million from the NFT gaming company, if you remember, they survived and they're kind of
Yep.
thriving now too. So yeah, the long makes sense here to me.
Look at these longs. So he's 40x on Bitcoin, in a P&L of 16 million. He's on Pepe long, and then he opened the Sui long. He was actually underwater with the Sui open earlier this morning, so he's back in the green here. It's you make some great points, Joe. You make some really good points about Sui's interesting. You know, it's a good blockchain. You never like to see anything get hacked, obviously. And then we have like Raoul Pal, who's like a very big advocate of Sui and what they're building, and a lot of people with a lot of money that have been backing this blockchain. So kind of the best time to buy, you know, it's when the blood's in the streets and you get hacked, of course the price is going to crash. Why not open a 10x long on it? It's actually sort of tempting, to be completely honest with you. Like it feels like it's not a super high risk situation.
Hey, you know what? We're gonna get one day. We've talked about it for 2 years now, or a year now. We're gonna get our analyst Brendan on here, who is an options master. I think he does futures also. He does it all. This guy, we need to get him on here to talk about hype, leverage, because that's something that I'm dipping my toe into, but our company has experts and upon experts on that. So yeah, it would be great to talk and create a new segment because you know why? All exchanges offers futures trading, hype, decent in crypto, there's futures trading also. So another good segment to bring on. Let's put that on the notes for the future, shall we?
Yeah, I got in I got pretty into some longs this year, kind of dabbling in on Hyperliquid actually. That's whenever I bought the hype token, I started like going in there and like putting longs in. I got liquidated a couple times, not gonna lie. During the last crash with the tariffs, I got liquidated. I forgot about my position, so I might not be the expert on experts. I know how to do it, but I'm too much of a perma bull, dude. Like it kills me to short stuff. I'm a great spot trader, you know, just a holder. You know,
Yeah.
I'll buy my positions, I'll ride it out. I have thick skin there, but leverage can get shaky. Hey, we're hitting all-time highs with Bitcoin right now.
Yep.
We haven't hit 112 yet, but we just touched 111,952. So we're gonna hit 112 today. This is exciting.
It is exciting. And let me wrap up my section with just more, macro news. Last macro news I'm going to share on kind of why we can see, just brighter days ahead. Stablecoin Act clarity with the Genius Act could trigger trillions for U.S. debt. This has been an overhang for many administrations. We're just getting worse and worse in debt. I mean, Trump has been doing some amazing stuff. If you guys don't know, he raised $3 trillion from visiting UAE, which is amazing, right? If he can solve our U.S. debt, I mean, he's on the mountain. I mean, he might just do it himself, put his own face on Mount Rushmore. It would not surprise me if he added himself as one of the founding founders, put himself on Mount Rushmore. But this could cause another, well, not another. We're in the middle of a bull run for Bitcoin, but this has just caused another run because when there's more liquidity and U.S. can just buy up more Bitcoin, that would just be amazing. I kind of like to see some sort of these wide fetch thesis to kind of just make myself a perma bull like you. One thing I wanted to bring up was just a WorldCoin. So WorldCoin, and the reason I bring this up is because not that it raised 135 million, but because WorldCoin is ran by Sam Altman. And you know who Sam Altman is, Brian. So Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI. For those that don't know, OpenAI is valued at $300 billion right now. And they're going to go supposedly IPO within a year or two with a market cap of $1 trillion. So he went also to the UAE, not alongside Trump, but to raise money also. So the more he raises, supposedly the higher the valuation is. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because everyone has eyes on this right now. All of the tech world in in San Francisco, in the Bay, and Silicon Valley is going to be the highest IPO in probably all of history, all of mankind. And he has 72, I think 70% of the market share of AI, API, and businesses plugging into OpenAI right now. He's leading the way. So $1 trillion market cap for an IPO seems crazy, but it's not. And a lot of that could flow into WorldCoin. WorldCoin is just kind of like a side gig for him, right? Like this blockchain that he's creating that has implications. So just very interesting news on how these ripples can come into the crypto world overall. I'm glad that potentially the richest person on this planet that can flip Elon has inroads with crypto and is doing stuff with crypto, creating his own blockchain, raising money for it still. So just bullish news overall, in my opinion.
Yeah, super bullish news there. super bullish news there. I mean, that's the reason why we're seeing the price go up. And meme coins have been showing some strength too, Joe. Just recently, we've seen some nice strength with meme, well, not just recently. Meme coins have been showing some strength. I mean, the Pepes, the Mogs, the Ethereum meme coins. I think once Ethereum catches the right number, a lot of rotation's going to be back into Ethereum meme coins. Solana meme coins are catching some steam. And I don't think we talked about this on our last rundown, but Launchcoin is an interesting new platform on Believe by Ben Pasternak. Essentially, they're calling it Internet Capital Markets, ICM. This is kind of a meta where we got Web 2 companies, Web 3 companies investing in real companies that are doing real projects through this launch pad. And we've seen some volatility with this coin. This is something we've talked about with our private community. It's just kind of the meta. This coin was released months ago, Joe. This was actually a rebrand from Pasternak's own SocialFi coin, his own coin called Pasternak. And then they rebranded it to Launchcoin. You can see this is the rebrand from just, a week ago, and it got all the way up to about 360 million, retraced back down, and it's been chopping right around 180 million dollars. Uh, this is a bipolar coin, if you ask me. I like the meta a lot. I think that there is a path here where some of these companies can do really well in this sort of investment roundup. I think Launchcoin tells an interesting story. I don't want to bet against it, but we've seen some interesting news just today or just yesterday we that have been endorsed by like Gavel is a token distribution and liquidity bootstrapping platform fully on Solana. It's essentially a competitor to Launchcoin. And we had like Kobe and some really Ansem and some people retweet this and talk about it. So brought more direction over here. I think last time I checked, this was trading at like a $40 million market cap. Uh, they're basically trying to eat into that market share, eat into that meta. I'm starting to readjust my own personal targets for Launchcoin because there's going to be other platforms and people chasing this meta. So that's why we launched so short. That's why we saw it go from like 250 yesterday now to 180. We have a competitor out there. They're all trying to fight for some footing, but the meta is that these Web 2 companies, Web 3 companies, essentially fundraising for their companies to build their company out. It's an interesting meta right now, but we've had some spin-offs of some meme coins that have been launched through Launchcoin, and it's definitely an area that you want to be paying attention to. But like I said, it's been bipolar out there.
You did well in this. You texted me right away immediately. Kudos to you. You are, I mean, I would want to say you're back on track because the market was, quiet for a while, but you always been hitting these metas and winning, so it just shows you that there's always new innovations to capitalize on and where the puck goes next. We kind of have an idea. I mean, we already know AI is going to dominate, which you're going to talk about also. But there's definitely some waves that we've been riding on that a lot of people don't have insight on, like this one per se, the ICMs, and then also you notified me about the InfoFi world that's been kind of crushing with Kaito and Cookies. That's fun. So kudos to you, Brian.
Yeah, it was a nice win. It was a good trade. I'm looking to probably get some more exposure to it. We're going to see how this shakes out with a competitor and some launches. But the meme coin world is definitely alive, and we're tracking it every day. Hey, talk about Big Jimmy Win here. If anybody saw Moonpig trending today, it was about $100 million market cap. So we have this guy who's worth millions of dollars. He made a fortune, it sounds like, on Pepe at 600,000 market cap. Good for him. Now he's just like putting longs in for millions with Bitcoin, longs with Pepe, longs with Sui, these legit projects. And then he's out here pumping Moonpig, a coin that's been around for a while. So, and Ansem's, I guess, buying into it. I haven't dove that deep into it, but that's a true degenerate. James Wynn, would love to have you on the rundown on the podcast. I'd love to know a little bit more about you because you are like my spirit animal, my friend, that you're out here putting 40x longs on Bitcoin for tens of millions of dollars, and then you're also shilling a coin called Moonpig. I mean, this guy was built for Web3.
What's interesting is that his latest post says, the best is yet to come, but on the Psychology and the Market Cycle, he's saying August and November is gonna dump. I'm like, hey, what? The best is yet to come. Why are you calling for a mini bear? What's going on?
Yeah, I guess he's talking we're gonna rip and rip hard. I mean, he put his money where his mouth is, that's for sure, with these recent moves. So we'll see how that all shakes out. I lost my sheet here. There we go. Let's talk a little bit about I'm chatting a lot. Let's talk a little bit about what the AI section's looking like as well. Every podcast guest we have on, every founder we have on is integrating AI some way, somehow into their project. And I think AI, like the Taos of the world, BitTensor, I think that's going to compete with centralized AI. I'm an absolute bull for those projects. I have exposure to it, full disclosure. I think and it's been ripping recently. We gave that call to our private community at like $350. I checked it today, it was almost 500. So we've nailed some good AI calls. And then there's this whole decentralized AI world where, Joe, we're huge fans of this. I mean, when you just look at Mindshare, we talk about virtual on a weekly with our community. We've given calls of this when it was in the hundreds of millions. Fartcoin at 100 million bucks, I remember us talking about. We've been talking about it ever since. And then a lot of these we've talked about a ton. Let's see what the market cap's looking like for some of these. Yeah, FET, Fartcoin, Virtual, all of these are past cusp calls. I love this. So we've seen a nice increase at the end of the day in this AI market, in the AI mind share. There's no doubt in my mind that that sector is going to continue to explode. I see there's 5, 10 X's written all over the place in that sector. I'm excited for it. So it's just really exciting to see it respond well as Bitcoin dominance continues to kind of like hold steady. Joe, what are your thoughts here? What's happening? Are we going to get to some Bitcoin spot, Bitcoin move, and then have an alt season happen where these AI coins just absolutely rip? Or are we just not going to have an alt season? What's your vibe there?
Yeah, I did a market update on 5 reasons Bitcoin's dominating and why it may not spill over to some of these alts. But definitely, with Bitcoin melting faces, I cannot see a time where, a rotation won't happen. And even if it's a small one, it's going to help bump the market up because with smaller market caps, it's easier to, make huge moves up. So personally, I believe that's going to happen as Bitcoin inches closer to that 150 mark. I know you mentioned, when we melt faces, but I don't think 150 is going to melt faces. But I think personally, I would definitely rotate. I have a little bit of fun. You got to have some fun sometimes. So I definitely, we've seen that. We saw a 40 billion market cap increase in 1 week's time on meme coins, just when Bitcoin was up over 100. When it went over the hump of 100,000, 40 billion was added back onto the meme coin market in an instant. So it shows you the temperament of the people who's there. And surprising to me, I didn't think a lot of these previous non-blue chip memes, I would like to call it, would survive. Mudang made a 700% gain. A lot of these meme coins that I did not think was going to be like a back on top of the spotlight, they came back on top of the spotlight. So definitely, I'm excited to see what the rotation will be in terms of market cap added back to these meme coins and in what sector. But definitely, I will see. I believe in a rotation.
Yeah, the trenches are coming alive again. I mean, it definitely is. Every single day, the trenches on Solana are living to as what we remember them just when you could just pick any coin and it would just like 5x. And that's starting to occur now. It's not as obvious and it's still the trenches are the trenches. So everyone please be careful when you're investing in these like micro caps. I mean, they could be so volatile. So I don't want anybody to get absolutely rinsed. But there's going to be some major opportunities we're going to talk about with our private community. We're going to talk about it on this show. Really, any chance we get because we're living and dying by this every single day. And the trenches are back. I'm not. You can just see. I thought for a minute there that we could see a prolonged bear with meme coins and Bitcoin just run. But as you can see, it's when people start to feel rich they just can't get enough of gambling on memes. And I love it. It's a lot of fun, man. The communities are fun.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't say everyone's back, but My soul buddies are back buying NFTs. That's how you know you're in DGen territory when people are buying NFTs, which brings us to our last segment. And they're doing it just for fun. They don't even care about the upside anymore because they've been so hammered on Solana specific NFTs that they're just like, yeah, I just bought like two soul worth of NFTs for fun. And that's personally to me how I know the trenches are back. How I know the rotation is going to happen is because the S&P's up. So when there's liquidity, people are down like 50%, well, not 50%, they were down massive amounts of money on the portfolio, right? On
Yeah.
TradFi. So when they're like, oh, everything's back up all-time high on top of Bitcoin, then that's when people like to, spend a little bit more, pockets a little bit looser. But to end things up, let's take a look at NFTs because they are still around and some of them are thriving. Bitcoin had a notable bump up across all boards for NFT wise. Everything's up and up overall, which is surprising because Bitcoin is moving up. And when crypto moves up, NFTs usually correlate downwards to make sure that the dollar value is correct, but it's come up also. Rune, surprisingly, I thought was dead, but Dog Go to the Moon is back up $500 million. I know this is a sore subject, Brian, but that's pretty good. I thought Dog was, not going to survive, or Rune's not going to survive. OKX has delisted Runes overall under wallet support, so I don't know where this market cap is coming from, but maybe it's from the Bitcoin whales over there, right?
Can you buy dog with or can you buy that on Moonshot now? I want to
That's good.
say
That's a good
I want to say
question.
there's something that doesn't make sense because Moonshot supports Solana, but is there a wormhole or something? I feel like I saw an article like that. Maybe I might just be making that up. Everyone just ignore my blubbering there. I thought there's definitely a way to buy dog. Wait, maybe it is available on Moonshot MoonPay. I don't know. There's definitely
Interesting.
an easier path here for dog. I gotta look into it a little bit more. But speaking of NFTs, we actually had an interesting runner here. We talked about with our private community called Monster Capsules or Monster.Fund, Joe. 750 of them. The mint just happened yesterday, and they're up over a point 0.6 ETH floor. So really interesting here, and it's like an AI monster game, which is gaining some steam. So I guess what I'm talking about is that there's still NFT projects out there that are doing some really cool things, incorporating AI, incorporating gaming, incorporating meme coins that are running. So I think your soul buddies might be onto something.
Yeah, they could be, but not on a Solana world. I haven't checked on Solana ecosystem, but there are definitely NFTs that are pumping and doing well. I would say that Pudgies, of course, is a de facto North Star, and we got to talk about them because they're just always doing stuff. They signed a contract with Random House Children's Book to create children's book, so now they can brainwash our children. And Random House Children's Book is a $2 billion a year publishing company. So huge moves here by Pudgy Penguins. Kudos to them for doing well. And they're, we talked about this a few months back. We should have got that Pudgy, right, Brian? And
I
the Crypto Punks.
I know. Well, the punk is definitely one that. Well, it's 124,000 bucks right now for a crypto punk. Jeez, so that's a ton of money, man. That would be a play that we'd all want to rotate into eventually. Pudgy Penguins 25 grand, 9 Ethereum. I mean, ETH at 9.4. They are just with ETH going up. These aren't going to lose a lot of value. So Joe, clock's ticking, man. We need you to buy this Pudgy Penguin. There's some good ones on the floor too.
Hey, once my long on Moonpig hits, I'll grab one.
Yeah, we need James Wynn to pump Moonpig some more. That's exactly what needs to happen. I think it's astronomically too high right now. What is Moonpig at right now? I gotta check. Let me see. $93 million market cap. Chart looks good though. Who knows? This could be the next meme coin runner. I have no idea. But, a hyperliquid whale pumping a meme coin, how could it go wrong?
That's right. Well, it's been fun. We like to go over high level what's going on. We definitely go down in depth more with our community, and we chop it up every day with them. And and breaking news, we're doing a live event, Brian. We don't have the dates formalized yet, but we want to come shake our hands, get some autographs with some degens, Let, let us know. But yeah, we're actually going to be doing something live, so that'll be super exciting. But if you guys can't catch us live, catch us on our market updates 3 times weekly, podcast on a weekly basis, and what's gonna happen next week, man? It's always exciting stuff, right, Brian?
I hope it's another Bitcoin all-time high. I hope it's just an absolute, like I say, melting experience. I see us we could get there.
And we'll be covering it. So catch us next week, guys.